What? Oh, no, you're the board. You say that.
You guys are seats up here. If anybody else needs to sit down, there's still people standing in the back.
All right, Jay, it's 12 o'clock.
Let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Malumbi.
Here.
Gurza.
Here.
Osterloo.
Here.
Genslinger.
Here.
Sonny. Penny. Kosher. Larson.
Here.
We have a quorum. It will have to be all roll call votes today with Larry being on the phone.
Okay, thank you.
Just a reminder too, turn your microphones on. I watched YouTube last meeting and couldn't hear you, Jake. The microphones came in clear, but you weren't on.
All right, does anyone have,
Coach Buck.
yeah, my button is showing green, so it should be on.
Now,
Now it's on, all right. Any declaration of conflicts of interest in the proposed agenda that's before us? Here again, let's move on to the agenda itself. It has been presented in the packet of information that's been delivered to us. Any additions or corrections? If not, we're looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
second.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Go ahead for a roll call. Mark, please.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Gurza.
Yes.
Malumbi.
Yes.
Larson.
Yep.
Motion carried.
All right, the minutes of the previous meeting of the 13th of June were presented in the packet. Any additions or corrections?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the agenda be approved as presented.
Minutes.
Minutes, excuse me. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Roll call, please.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Gurza.
Yes.
Malumbi.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The next meeting should be on our regular blanket, would be the 11th of July.
Is that the date?
Second.
Moved and seconded that the date be set as the 11th of July. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Go ahead, Mark, please.
Malumbi.
Yes.
Gurza.
Yes.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, the next item on our agenda is a plat of Lot 2A of Block 1 of Westwood First Edition, a subdivision of the southwest quarter of Section 16-103-60 in the 5th PM of the City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, as requested. What's going on there?
You guys have seen this one kind of before. Previously, it was a plat of Lot 2, Block 1. You can see the dashed line coming across right here. They are vacating that to align with the drainage that goes there. I think they were going to change the drainage ditch along the south of Lot 2, but it actually goes down this line right here, 2A.
Okay.
So they're just doing a little bit of a change with that.
All right. Any questions? Hearing none, we're ready for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the plat be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Malumbi. Yes. Gurza.
Yes.
Osterloo.
Yes.
Genslinger.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item, lots 1 and 2 of CJM 3rd Edition, a subdivision of irregular tract number 3 in the southwest quarter of Section 32, T104 North, Range 60 west of the 5th parallel meridian, Davidson County, South Dakota. Okay, there we had a picture of that, too,
Yep.
didn't we?
Yep. So if you recall, the pump station that the City of Mitchell owns is right here. It's in this little square shape. City of Mitchell is getting more land from CJM Consulting, Inc. So we are getting Lot 1, and then they are selling Lot 2 to Williams. So they're kind of irregular size shaped lots, but that's what's happening there.
Okay. Access?
Access, since the city will own the lot in front of it, there won't be any issues with the city retaining both of those. And then access for Lot 2 can come off of Harmon if they had to in the future, or if they are a budding landowner.
Okay. Any discussions or questions about this from the folks here? Hearing none, we are ready for motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the plat be approved as presented. The plats, there are actually two there. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Mark, go ahead.
Genslinger,
Yes.
Oscar Lou,
Yes.
Jerza,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, next item on the agenda is a discussion only of the South Lake Estates Plan Development Unit. And if I remember right, we have about 8 of these plan development units already in existence, someplace in the city. I see we have a large crowd here. Nobody's had any questions about anything we've been doing so far, so I assume we're going to have lots of folks talking here. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. If someone else has already covered a point, you do not need to hear it again. Okay?
I'll start it off, Jay, with a little overview.
Yep, that's what I
CJM,
was going to ask for.
Sure.
Thank you, Marty.
CJM Consulting Inc. came in, they purchased this property. You recall seeing the plat at the last meeting that you had. It was approved. The city council approved it last meeting as well. So now we're on to the next stage of the development, which was they would like to create a PD. It is residential lake currently. The areas in red are what they are wishing to change to the PUD South Lake Estates. When we first wrote the PD, we sent it out for today to start the free meetings for this. Since it got published and sent to the neighbors, we've made some changes to it. So we decided that since there were numerous changes with it, that we need to start over. So we already had this figured on the agenda. Letters were already sent to everybody, so we're still keeping it on the agenda for today for discussion. No action taken. Letters were sent back out this past Thursday, published in the paper again for this next Wednesday, and then 2 meetings following that as well. So I'll go just to walk you through the PUD that we have in front of us. It's for the lots. That's the legal description that goes with the PUD. Legal description, purpose. The permitted uses would be open spaces, parks and playgrounds, single-family dwellings, and then 2-family dwellings. They took out 3 and 4-family dwellings from the first go-around with it. Conditional uses are bed and breakfast, child care, family residential, community gardens, home occupations, lodging houses, religious institutes, and retail services and trades. Those are all conditional uses that, as we know, would have to come in front of the board to be heard for approval or not. The retail services and trades is intended to be more of a small engine, lawnmowers, boat motors, things like that to be worked on in the back of their garage. That would not fit under a home occupation, and so that's why it fits with the retail services and trades. They are looking for the board in the future to kind of police what is actually going to go out there, what fits within our comprehensive plan. So a big business or something like that wouldn't fit within our comprehensive plan for that location. The height's 2.5 stories, 35 feet. Lot widths, actually all of the lot widths in this PUD are 85 feet at least, which is over the 75 feet. Also, They are over the existing residential lake of 7,500. These are 8,400 square foot, would be the smallest lot in here. The setbacks, a 20-foot front yard, 20-foot rear, 3 side, 15 feet on the side corner, and 60% overall maximum coverage. When he was originally drafting this, it was kind of trying to fit R3, which the 15-foot on the side yard is an R3. The heights is standard throughout all of them. The one that is different that we do not have in town is a 20-foot front yard setback. That could be tight for vehicles going across sidewalks. Our smallest one that we have so far is a 25. Accessory buildings, not allowed in the front yard, can't be over 28 feet. That was changed from the 32 feet. 3 foot from a principal lot line is just like any others that we have in town. Accessory building not be 3 feet from zoning lot lines. And then one that was added after the original was the attached and detached accessory buildings cannot be over 3,000 square feet in combination. We define an attached garage as an accessory building, so that means an attached garage, it's a 3-stall garage, say it's a 30 by 40, 3-stall garage, that's 1,200 square feet. That means your accessory building in the back couldn't add up with that to over 3,000 square feet. At a 2,000 square foot, 40 by 50 accessory building in the backyard, we've ran into a lot of variances where the height starts to come into play with, you have your overhead garage door for your camper, and at 40 feet wide, your heel of your truss plus if it's a 412 or a 512, gets to be about 26, 27 feet. So that's why we went with 28, brought it down to 32. It was published in the paper, it's been republished in the paper. Everybody got a second letter showing the updated ordinance for this. We've received many letters, emails. The ones that did not make the packet, I gave all of you a copy of those. Larry, I emailed that to you at about 11:30 this morning, so you should have that as well. So all the ones that made the packet are all in here already. So today, no action, and we're just discussing the PD itself, not any of the development that goes with that, because that's a separate step through this whole process. I can answer any other questions you have, or you have more discussion.
Well, one of the things that I mentioned when we looked at this plat at our last meeting was that when I came to Mitchell in 1978, a couple of years after that, I helped the county harvest hay on this thing. And so it's about time that something happened there.
I can even give you a little bit more history with that. Let me get to the GIS view of it. So back in 1930 is when the exterior of South Harmon was platted.
Okay.
All the lake lots were platted in 1930. In 1975, anything from the inside of South Harmon, so not lake access, all the way around to North Holman Street, so that whole area was platted in 1975. It had all lots, roads, everything established in there. In 1978, they replatted it again, and they changed the roads from north-south to east-west, so that's where the change came. Then they had in 75, they already had the 4 outlets from the interior in there in 75, and now we're just replatted the interior again, picking out the alleyways that were in those blocks, nothing exterior, just what's in the red here.
Right, I think we talked about that at the last meeting. Anybody sitting at this table got a question for Mark? Pretty much explains where we're at with this thing right now. All right, Chuck, you want to talk to us?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm Chuck Mashesky, the president of CJM. I think a lot better when I'm sitting, but I'll try it standing. I want to touch on 2 things. I'll start with what Mark has said and done a good job of some history. To bring it to what we've been doing the last few weeks, the PD, Terry, who will come up soon from the chamber, got some emails from, I assume, you folks, and so we redid the PD in the last couple weeks, kind of like Mark said. Every change we made, everybody hear me okay? 'Cause I'm not talking to this thing. Every change we made was toughening up the PD a little bit to the current one that we're going to consider 2 weeks from now. And so the changes, we think, were toughening up what we could have lived with the first one. The purpose of the PD, as I see it, and I'm going to try to simplify some things because even when I do this a lot, it gets real confusing. So I can't imagine what you're digesting. But my reason for the PD is to get to put bigger, better homes on the land. We sit today with an approved master plan and an approved plot, and there's been others before us. This plot today has generally 85-foot wide lots and about 120 feet deep. As a developer, I'd like them even a little bigger, but that's what we were given that we could do the most with. So they're about 85 by 120. That's where the lots of the alleys have been abandoned, because there's still a couple places where the alley hasn't been abandoned. And we would like to abandon the alley there, but we'll come back to that hopefully some other day. So the 120 with an alley abandoned and the 85 is what we generally live with. Now the reason for the PD, as I started to say, is we can set the setbacks in a PD at like 3 feet on the side yard and like 20 or 25 feet in the back and the front. And that gives you a bigger footprint to build a house as compared to RL that, anybody correct me, I think it's 8 feet, it might be 10, side yard.
3, I think.
RL?
RL for non-lake access is 3 feet per side yard.
That's good news for all of us, because that was one of the things I thought I was going after, was the 3-foot setback. So we live with this 3-foot setback today. Now, if we get the PD, we've suggested 20 in the front, 20 in the back. If I can bother you again, what's RL front and back?
So minimum lot area for RL non-lake access is 7,500 square feet. Lot width is 75 feet. Front yard is 30 feet. Rear yard is 25 feet. Side yard is 3. Side corner is 20. Coverage is 45%, and height is 2.5 or 35 feet.
What that means, comparing the RL to the PD that we're trying to get, we would do 15 feet on a corner instead of 20 in the RL. The PD would do a 3-foot side yard, the RL does 3-foot side yard. Ours would do 20 and 20 front and back. I think he said 30 and 25.
30 and 25.
So we'd have 55 foot of setback with the RL today that we live with, or we'd have 40 feet setback with the PD. All of this just means we can put a bigger house with a double garage, which I'm trying to insist on, double garages, because that cleans up a yard. If we do the RL, and we will do the RL if we don't get the PD, we'll just build on a smaller lot. So we may have to build a smaller house. We may have to go without a garage. I'd like not to, because that doesn't help anybody's comparables. But if that's what we have to do, that's what we'll do. To me, it's just repeating myself. Bigger houses are more value. And so that's the whole thing as far as I'm concerned with the PD. And that is what's being considered today. There's more to the process as we move forward with or without the PD. And I want to get on that because it's very positive as far as I'm concerned. I've done some developing in town. I've never sat with somebody other than just myself at a meeting like this, so I'm real happy to have some company. Terry Sabers and I have talked probably 80 times in the last 6 or 8 months about this project, and we're under a written contract with the chamber and their nonprofit entity that will be doing my first phase. And and some of the high points, because Terry can very well speak for himself, they're going to get a TIF and help pay for the infrastructure, which is very relevant to any of you with the liability of infrastructure. And so he can touch on that. But I'm excited about their doing it. I've given them 23 lots to help kickstart them, and that really helps the TIF and the plan, and it's a good plan. So you, in my opinion, you'll have some neighbors on our development. It's just a matter of how big the houses are and how cheap it is to get your assessment paid for. But I'll stop there and let Terry take over.
Favor, you going to talk to us?
I will. This is my first time here, so before you with this program, and so I'll explain a little bit of background. In January, I was in a housing meeting, and we were talking about the need for more workforce housing. We don't use affordable anymore because that's a kind of a joke. Everybody says it's not affordable. So it's workforce housing. And the builders are also are very busy building the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes. There's nobody really focusing on the lower cost homes. And so I raised my hand. I was the only retired guy in the room. I raised my hand and said, okay, you know, we'll try and do something with it. We created a corporation, and it's actually, we've applied for the nonprofit status, and it's a separate corporation, and it's Mitchell Area Housing, Inc., okay? And you'll hear more about it because we just signed the contract on 2 homes to be built in Mitchell, and our focus is to build homes that are under $250,000. Originally, when I started, it was going to be under $200,000. Of course, quickly with inflation and so forth, that's not going to work. We'll get some down maybe in that $200,000 range, but it'll be under $250,000 is our focus, because that's where no houses have been built. There's a housing study done, and the key thing that came out of that is you know, you always got to compare yourself to a city that's successful. Brookings has built 2.5 to 3 times as many homes in virtually every decade for the last 40 years than Mitchell has. And there's something wrong with that, okay? So I assembled a couple guys to help me. Rick Martin, who was at UBC ProBuild for 30 years. Marty DeBoer just retired from his business. And so we've been working together as a team on some options. And it was obvious that we weren't going to be able to get enough infill homes in Mitchell, so I had to look for more lots. And that's when Chuck and I started talking. And I agree, I tell people I think I've talked to him 60 hours on the phone since February. And it might seem like 6 to 8 months, but it hasn't been. So anyway, the enticing part about this, with an 85-foot lot, it gives us more options on a home out there. And we would, our Mitchell Area Housing would be the first developer out there. We would develop Indian Head Driver Street, and on the south side, south and east, from the park all the way around to Ullman. And so when we talked about this PD, Chuck and I talked about, and that's what created some of these changes. We would like to build, you know, have availability of single family and twin homes. That's why the 2 home was added. With the RL, we would not be able to do a twin home, and it would be just single family. It's predominantly single family, but there could be some 2 family. One of the things, you know, a concern has been drainage, and that's something that I've got a commitment from the city and SPN that we're going to work on trying to improve the drainage. Nobody quite knows exactly what's causing the problem. The other thing that we're going to do in our first development out there is try to push as much of the sewage as we can to the west so that it doesn't overload that east lift station. So, you know, the neighbors have heard this. We've had 3 neighbor meetings out there, and plus other discussions with them. And, you know, and I get it. I've been in 2 different developments where I had fields in the backyard, and you know, you get disappointed when that goes away, you know. So, but, you know, we're trying to accommodate everything, and, you know, this will be an official street. with curb and gutter and so forth. And drainage that, the best way, SPN spent quite a bit of time figuring out the best way to get that water off of that area and into the lake, so, for drainage. The expanded lot size from 7,500 to 8,400 did help, make it more enticing as far as our options. And the front yard setback just allows us to have a larger backyard. So that's what it comes down to. So, any questions for me?
That was going to be my next statement. Any questions from this panel? This gentleman?
Anything I didn't talk about? Okay.
Jeff, do you want to talk to us a little bit about what's going on there, please? From your perspective? And I'm sure you're talking with city guys too?
Yeah, and I guess I don't have a lot of the details with me on that. We're in the preliminary side as far as design goes. We are going to try to take as much of the wastewater to the west as we can. Gravity won't let us handle quite all of it, so some of it will go to that eastern lift station. But as we're working through design, we'll run through all the calculations, confirm that everything is adequate for what's there and what's been encountered in those areas. We're going to be working on a stormwater quality management system that allows us to filter and detain some of the water before it goes through the lake. We're not into final design yet, so I don't have any other real answers on any of that, but stormwater will meet city's design criteria, and we'll continue to work with Joe to put a excellent plan together for that.
All right, thank you. Joe, you got anything to add?
No, I'd say from the city standpoint, it's a little early in the game. Like Jeff said, he's working through all the design parameters. I've been involved in some preliminary conversations. And when we get closer to the finish line, the city will get involved very heavily to make sure that it meets our ordinances.
Any questions for these gentlemen? Okay, now let's have some questions from the audience, and we please limit them to 3 minutes if you can. I have a little old telephone timer here that I will keep track, so.
If I get as much time as these guys?
No, you get 3 minutes.
My name is Dale Odegaard, and I have property where this development is going, and I also have property on the lakeside in the same area. And what I would like to see done, and we have about 50 signatures in regards to the lake area people, that it's zoned RL right now, residential lake, and basically we want to keep it zoned that. And I know Chuck filled you in on regards to PUD and why they're doing it, but also I looked up the definition, and that kind of opens up a can of worms for other things other than larger lots and this thing and that thing and businesses in that area. And I think the city's spending, what, $14–15 million hopefully on cleaning up the lake area? And I don't think this area would be cleaned up by it. I think Chuck mentioned more expensive homes. Terry mentioned starter homes. I don't know, in an area like that, would you build a $500,000 house across the street from affordable housing? I'm not sure. And I know residential lake doesn't mean you need to build a $500,000 house, but it's a home that is there, and all the other ones are there, and they're the same. And I think it's very important to keep this zoned RL. And if you'd like today, Kelly has the signatures of everybody that disapproves of this new zoning. I can sure hand them out and give them to you, but I think the way I understand, this isn't really about voting on it today. It's about tabling it for another day to come, correct?
It is about discussion, is what it is
Okay,
today.
well-
With the actual ordinance that has been proposed is now out for public comment, and we will see it again in 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, then my comment is, please decide to keep it residential lake and not change it to PUD because it definitely, in my opinion, after I read the definition of that, it really opens up. Everything can be done in that area, and I think I would disapprove of that type of a situation.
Have you taken the time to look at how that PD, that plan development is for limitations?
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
I'm Kelly Gross, and I have 3 lots that will butt up against that area, plus my home is out there. I've lived there for 36 years, so I'm going to be passionate about this project. And it was easy to walk around the lake and get signatures to stop this. It was easy. No one I spoke to, and we do have about 50 signatures, no one was for this. So this isn't just a few of us passionate people, it's all of us. And I was shocked to find out that you think lawnmower business would be appropriate there. My office is at 110 East 2nd Avenue. I look directly across the parking lot to the lawnmower guy, Larry. He's a great guy and he keeps a clean business. But I have a beautiful building and I am told many times by my customers, it's too bad you have those lawnmowers across there because it looks like crap. And you want to put that in a neighborhood? That's wrong. And the passion for the sheds that want to go up there, 28 feet, my business, I work with sheds. I measure sheds. I know sheds. That's high. That's going to encroach upon our sunlight even. It's crazy to take our neighborhood and make it another Sam Street where sheds are welcome. You know, we have too nice of an area out there to junk it out. So I really think you guys need to think about this. Don't make another mistake like they did 40 years ago when our houses were allowed to put in there. You know, I live there, but our houses should have never been allowed to be put in there to first with. They should have had nicer houses. Let's not make the same mistake again. But a lawnmower business, I'm shocked by that.
Thank you. Other comments? Any questions for these folks?
I'd like to make a quick comment. I'm Jason Spicer. I'm a recent grad from Dakota Wesleyan. Played here in the Corn Palace quite a bit. But 2018, I graduated here and moved back to Sioux Falls. Wasn't much in housing and was renting for quite a while there. I got a job offer back here and moved back in September of 2020, and I was able to find a home at that point at a very low interest rate, which was wonderful, but it's a 100-year-old home in the Dakota Wesleyan area, and a home actually 2 houses down from mine just sold for $100,000 more than what I bought mine. And it's same age, same style, same place. And I look at what we have in Mitchell now. You know, I would have liked to sell my home and make $100,000 on it. I'm an investment guy. I would have done it in a heartbeat. But there's nowhere to go. And I look at what Terry and Chuck have done. I've heard Terry's his presentation and what they're doing at a Rotary meeting a couple weeks ago. And one of the homes that they actually, one of the homes in the lots that they just bought from Dakota Wesleyan was a block away from my house. And quite honestly, it looked like it could have almost been condemned. So I'm glad that they're putting something in there that is going to retain some value going forward. Inflation is a real thing, and quite honestly, real estate is probably going to be one of the stickier parts of inflation that we see for the coming years. Interest rates are going to probably stick with where they're at, and hopefully they come down, but there's a real need to put housing somewhere, and quite honestly, it seems like there is a gift that was given to the city to build something and also provide housing for a growing community. So I understand why people would be upset and where it's at and property values. I get that. I'm a homeowner too. But there's a larger thing at here with the city and what can we do for, you know, people moving here or people that already live here. And I think that's important to consider. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mark, would you refresh my memory again on lot sizes between RL and what we're looking at here in this PDU?
So minimum is 7,500 in the RL currently. In the PD, those would be minimum of 8,400. And actually, most of these are 10,030 square feet. 85 by 120 is what those are. The setbacks, 30 for the front, 25 for the rear, 3 for side, 20 for side corner. The PD has a 20, 20, 3, and 15.
And everybody's a 3-foot side.
Everyone's the same with the 3-foot side. Yep. Sure.
Yeah.
The heights are exactly the same at 2.5 stories or 35 feet for the primary. Your accessory buildings, it's 28 feet versus the 22 feet in the RL. And 3,000 square foot max for an accessory building. RL has 2,000 square feet for accessory buildings.
Larry, did you have any other questions? I thought I heard something from your phone there.
No, I did not. No, I'm okay.
Anybody else got anything to add here? First of all, among the commission folks. From the audience, anybody got anything else to add? Now, we're going to consider this again in 2 weeks. And we're going to consider the newer edition stuff that has been presented to us at this point.
I'm just going to add, because this, to me...
Identify yourself, please.
Oh, I'm Stephen Patak. I live out on the lake. But what I noticed was you said in 1975 they came up with the original plan for how all the lots laid out and everything. And to me it comes down to kind of observation and trust. Do I trust what I'm being told? Because there were trees around the park. Those trees are now gone because they had to be cut down to make room for the road that you're putting in. It seems like either A, there's an element of trust that, do we really trust what you're telling us, or B, incompetence back when those trees were put in and became big, beautiful trees, because why did they have to be cut down?
May I interject something here?
Yeah.
Those trees weren't planted.
Volunteer.
They all volunteered in there.
Okay.
No, not by the park, they were planted.
They were all by the park. There is a whole series of trees around the edge of the park that just got cut down because they infringed on where you're putting a road. Back in 1975, if this didn't change from 1975, why did those trees all have to be cut down to make room for a road? I'm just saying, there's an element here that just sounds a little fishy as we go forward in this program. So,
If I may, I believe it's my understanding that when those trees were originally planted, they thought they were planting it on the city land, on the city park land, and instead they were planted in current right-of-way. So they were misplaced, they were planted incorrectly at the first time. I don't know even. Yeah, I'm not sure who planted them. I just know when they were doing some survey work, they found that the trees were planted in city right-of-way and they had to be removed. And then the city did go in and plant different trees within the city park boundaries.
And I know from long history, personal, that when we put up hay out there for the county on this property to try to clean it up, there were literally hundreds of volunteer trees out there.
Good afternoon. Denny Everson, live at South Harmon on the lake. Moved here 3 years ago. Not new to this town because I was born and raised here, but I took and left for about 35 years and chose to come back to this beautiful city and live at their beautiful lake. In the meantime, I was in Yankton, South Dakota, and I lived along the Missouri River. And I can tell you that there are two housing developments, both of which, one of which I lived in, one of which I rented in when I was much younger, but along the river. Both of them were intended for the same purposes as what's being described here for, low-income housing. Understand the need for that. But what happened was the first generation of people that came into that particular housing development, it worked out fine. But then they started to resell, and it didn't work out so fine. And now if you bother to boat south of the dam and the Missouri River, you see a tremendous eyesore. The first one you see is Riverside Acres. And it is terrible. And there were people that built the same kind of homes that you were talking about before that development changed in its aspects, and those houses' values dropped dramatically. So I'm just saying it happens. And just like the Missouri River to Yankton, this lake is a big deal for Mitchell, or it wouldn't be catching all the attention it does. So please give this some real consideration, because there are unintended consequences that happen, and it's sad when you look at an aspect as great and beautiful as this lake. Thanks.
Any other comments? Question, gentlemen?
I guess the only comment that I would make after having gone through and taken a look at the letters that we got back, it appears that there's a lot of folks that just want more information. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, you guys can get together and get that all hashed out.
Anything else, gentlemen? Okay, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Is there any other business to come before this body at this time?
Yes, I'd like to let you know that Doug Malumbi will be done with Planning Commission. We greatly thank him for the years of service that he has been done for this. John Schmitz will be replacing him.
Sorry to see you go, Skip.
It's been a pleasure working with you guys. Appreciate your comments and input, and respect your votes.
I want to echo that, Doug. Thank you for your service to the committee.
All right. Given that information, we are at time for public input. If you need to address the City Planning Commission on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken. Seeing that no one is coming forward, we are adjourned.
See you later.